My name is Morgan and I have lipedema. As a child, I started seeing kind of that I was a little bit different physically, probably around the age of like 7 years old. So like early elementary school. I have just kind of always been there. I was always very active. My mom definitely provided like healthy foods and nutrition for me as a child. It wasn't the same as other kids, and it was kind of difficult as far as trying to fit in with playing sports or just wearing certain things. I just kind of felt a little bit out of place. And you know, it got to a point where I was gaining weight and I couldn't keep up physically, and I kind of wondered why, because I enjoyed doing active things, but my body just got in the way of it. When I was 12 years old, it was right before 7th grade started, I remember, I ended up in the emergency room. This was actually the night before the first day of school, with really horrible pain that, come to find out, was actually an ovarian torsion. So what an ovarian torsion is basically when the ovary kind of flips around the tube and blood circulation is cut off. So blood was pumping into the ovary and not being able to come out. So a normal size ovary is about this big. Mine pumped up to about that big. And they actually had to remove my ovary completely. It was very painful. But I recovered. However, 2 years later, the same thing happened to my other ovary. And now with this one, it was a bit more dramatic of a situation, because without ovaries, you know, you can't have kids. And here I am, 14 years old at this point, and that's not something that I had thought about. And so with this surgery, what they did is they untwisted the ovary and left it in to hopefully heal. However, for 8 months, I went through what they call premature ovarian failure. It was symptoms similar to that of menopause. So I was in high school having hot flashes and cold sweats, and that sent me into a pretty deep depression, actually. And I would say that that's when I started gaining weight. The thought of, you know, so at 14 years old, I'm starting to have to think about these things like, will I be able to have kids one day? Do I want to have kids one day? And going through that made me realize that, like, I think that that's my purpose in life, is to be a mom. It was rough, and I started gaining weight, and I actually got up to 286 pounds at my high. I had VSG, also known as vertical sleeve gastrectomy, or the sleeve for short, August 17th, 2015. So I'm coming up on just about my 1 year surgiversary, I like to call it. And it's basically a weight loss surgery. The more common ones are the gastric bypass or lap band. But with this procedure, and you know, it's a tool, I've been able to lose, I got up to 101 pounds. Honestly, when I discovered that I had lipedema, when I was diagnosed, it was the biggest relief. I was searching for the answer of like, what's wrong. And Dr. Amron, when he said lipedema, it's like everything it all added up, because I've been working so hard to lose weight, specifically from my arms. Every time I would work out, every time I'm in the gym every single day, training my arms specifically because they're like this problem area, and I just stopped seeing results. And you know, it's crazy. I can feel that I have muscles underneath, but it's under this like thick layer of what now I know to be lipedema fat. And I'm just so excited. I'm so happy to know that it's not just me, it's not my fault. As far as how this has affected my relationships, just in my day-to-day life, I definitely secluded myself. I have not really, since I have been affected by lipedema and been overweight, I haven't been good at keeping relationships. with friends. I definitely clung to my family. They've been absolutely amazing the whole time through, and they've kind of become my friends because unfortunately I felt so different, so kind of odd and not really like normal, that I sort of just wouldn't maintain relationships. I wouldn't put any effort into it. I just kind of felt like people, maybe at school, it was like my friends at school, it was like I told myself in my own head, well, we only hang out because it's at school, everyone has to be at school. It was like, well, nobody would want to hang out with me outside of school or anything like that because I'm so different. Like nobody wants to be playing volleyball, especially, was one big thing. Like nobody wants to be seen playing with the fat girl. As far as like a love life goes, the lipedema has had a huge part. Honestly, my weight, so the lipedema, what have you, kind of took away my like femininity, and it took away I wasn't comfortable being like a girl. I was like with guys in general, and I still am like this. It was kind of like just a friend. Like I was afraid to go there because I don't know, I just have not felt comfortable as far as my body goes, and that plays a huge role, I think. So about 2 years ago, my sister Emily and I kind of decided that it was time for us to start changing our lifestyle and just getting active. We started working out together. My mom was completely gung-ho with like getting us all eating a healthy diet, and my dad was on the sidelines rooting us on too. But Emily and I started hitting the gym and working out with each other. We were kind of like each other's little workout buddies. Both Emily and I were in independent study high school, so we had the ability, the time and freedom to be able to put everything into our health, diet and exercise, mental health as well. So we were really focusing on those things, and we both for sure saw results. I had vertical sleeve gastrectomy surgery, and with that, in the past year, I have been able to lose about 100 pounds, just over, and it's completely changed my life. However, Emily, while she was seeing results, you know, we were doing the same things. In fact, I always say we did the same things, but honestly, she was probably working harder than I was. And she just wasn't seeing the same results. And it was very strange to compare each other and not have her seeing the same success kind of that I was. It was very frustrating for her, I know, and a little bit awkward for me. It's almost like I felt bad that I was losing weight. We took our measurements, and one thing that really stood out was we went to measure our thighs, and I had actually lost 10 inches off of each thigh. And so I was super excited, of course, with that. And Emily, when she had her measurements taken, she had only lost ½ an inch off of her thigh. And she had also lost about 30 pounds. So you could see kind of that her thighs, which we eventually found out was where she was primarily affected by the lipedema, there was just such a difference in the ways that we kind of in the ways that our bodies reacted to diet and exercise. So for her, it was her thighs were the problem area. And for me, as I lost weight, I realized kind of, probably I would say about 6 months into it, that my body was shrinking, but I was becoming quite out of proportion when it comes to my upper body. My arms were much larger in proportion to the rest of my body. For example, I would wear like a size medium in bottoms, but then on the top, just to fit my arms, I would be like an XL. When Emily was diagnosed, she was kind of taken aback at first, I think. But once she was able to resonate with the symptoms and see other lipedema patients, I think that she was really relieved to know that there was treatment for lipedema. And so she had her 2 separate procedures with Dr. Amron, covering her thighs, calves, ankles, and upper arms to remove the lipedema fat. And she was very nervous going into it. Both of us our whole lives has been, I've been the one who's dealt with medical issues and stuff and had surgeries, and so this was her first time having a medical procedure, really. After her arm procedure with Dr. Amron, we were in our hotel room because we stayed down here, and when she took off her garment for just a second to change it, she looked in the mirror, and right when I looked up, it was like I saw her face and she was like shocked at just looking at herself in the mirror, and she could see like muscle definition, and she made such a big deal about it. She was like, "You guys, look, I knew I had muscles under there." And it was just, that was like probably the happiest I've ever seen Emily, actually, was in that moment looking at herself in the mirror. It's been an amazing experience for her, and she has this new lease on life. She's always had a passion for working out, but she doesn't have lipedema or the size of her thighs or arms standing in the way of her anymore.